Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is Heart DFS. For those of you that are new, please hit the like button and subscribe and the notification bell. I do appreciate all your guys' support. I make daily NBA prize pick videos as well as daily NBA slate breakdowns on Draftkings. So a lot of good content for you guys to enjoy. And yeah, we have a nice two-gamer today. Both game sevens. Very excited to go into that. But before I do, just want to review my lineup from the other day. End up going with Drew Holiday. You know, he's pretty high owned. It's just his price hasn't moved. He's getting a ton of shots, and he didn't do that well. You know, fantasy point wise, did okay, but 50% owned, very popular, did fine. Desmond Bane. I made two lineups just because I was just like I had to take a shot on Bane just because he was aggressive in that last game. I was like maybe he's gonna be more aggressive. He was 25 points, which was normal Bane. I guess his back felt fine finally, but 40 fantasy points. Went to Wiggins, talked about how he's a little too cheap. He put up a double-double. Draymond Green. So it's one of those, like, this is kind of, I guess, my second lineup, not my main one, but I just kind of went with these cheaper plays of the guys that were a little too cheap. They do have a high ceiling if they play well. And, Bane hit well, Wiggins hit, Draymond Green hit, almost got that triple-double. Al Horford. Past two games, he's just not shot the ball at all. Not really sure why. He pretty much carried them to almost two victories in a row. I know they kind of blew that one game, the second game, but he's doing amazing. And now he just I don't think he scored 10 points the past two games combined, but he's pretty much been able to get there just fantasy point wise with just peripheral stats, which is kind of huge. Derek White talked about how he was a pretty solid value if he gets those minutes, and he did. Brandon Clark, decent. And then Steph talked about how he liked him. I mean, Steph Curry, just at 9K or 9,200, he's a little too cheap. So, didn't, win a crazy amount of money, but the plays were good, which you do like to see. So, hoping to carry that into today's games. This will be a quick video, just because the games start pretty soon. And, but it's game 7 of the series. So, we pretty much know what we're getting and who to look at and who to go to. So, a lot of the stars on both sides are pretty high or pretty priced up. So it's going to be, I think the mid-range route is going to be the best way to go today for tournaments if you're a tournament player, just because of being able to fit more guys in than you would if you played a guy like Giannis, who's I think 12K, and there's just not a lot of value that you could put in for them to be able to perform well to have those stars. So to begin on the Milwaukee side, we have Giannis, 12K, as I just said. I mean, we know what we're getting from him. Pretty much 40 minutes, all the opportunities to score. Been shooting it really well the past 3 games. But yeah, almost averaging 40 points per game in the last 4. Almost getting, 15 plus rebounds. 12K just comes down to if you can fit him in with some value plays, and we'll talk about those in a bit. Drew Holiday, really like him. Once again, his shots were down, he was getting 20 plus pretty much this whole series. And he only got 17. Still got you there because he's great at getting the peripheral stats, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Can't get you the rebounds and assists, which were down a little bit in that last game. Going to be a great game to watch today. Really like going back to Drew Holiday, 8,200. He's a great piece to have in this game. Bobby Portis, I think he looks great once again. Hasn't shot the ball well at all pretty much since the Bulls series in that first game against Boston. Since then, he's, the minutes have been kind of fluctuating, but nice to see back-to-back games of him getting about 30 minutes. The rebounds are always going to be there for Bobby. He's a hard rebounding guy, energy guy. So it just comes down if he's hitting his shots and his threes. They haven't been falling, but I do like to, run it back with Bobby. He could easily get you close to 40 fantasy points if he's playing really well. So at 5K, I think it's one of those things you had to put him in your lineup today, just because of the high risk, high reward ratio for him. Brook Lopez, minutes are coming down. I just don't think I get to it. I'd rather get to, Bobby. Pat Connaughton, 4,400, looks like an okay value play for today. He's not going to score too much, but if he's hitting his threes, he's going to get you a couple of rebounds. So 4,400 is not that bad, but I do think I'd prefer still to get to Grayson Allen. Obviously, he's not rebounding as high as Pat Connaughton, he's not hitting as many threes. He's been pretty bad in this series compared to his Bulls series. But I do like the $700 price difference between them. That could really help you out if you're trying to jam in some stars. Wes Matthews, classic Wes Matthews game, about 30 minutes, 12 fantasy points basically. Don't think he'd go there. And George Hill's getting like 10 to 20 minutes. Obviously, he's not doing anything at all. He's kind of out there just to give some minutes of rest to Drew Holiday. So, I mean, pretty much the only value plays on this Boston side are obviously Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton. On the Boston side, we have Tatum, 10K. Talked about how I really liked him last game. 66 fantasy points, 46 real-life points. Once again, 10K is a great price for him. Really like Jaylen Brown at 8,300. Kind of the more classic Jaylen Brown game. 37 fantasy points. He scores well, gets some rebounds, gets some assists. But he's kind of in that 35 fantasy point range to you can go for 55. But if Tatum's doing well, it's going to be pretty much Tatum, and then Jaylen Brown's going to have to be the secondary guy. So 8,300 looks great for him. It's just sometimes his ceiling's a little bit capped. I really like Al Horford. I know the past 2 games he's only shot it 7 times in 6. I do think they're gonna go back to him, look for him to shoot more, because when he was performing really well, they won one game and then they almost won the second. They should have, but they kind of failed it. They kind of collapsed right at the last 2 minutes. So he's pretty much gone there even without scoring. Only 8 points, but 34.5 fantasy points because he's got 8 rebounds, 6 assists. A block, 3 steals. Last game, only 1 of 6, 2 points. You'd be like, oh, this guy got 2 points. He's probably going to have 10 fantasy points. No, he almost has 30 because he got 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 blocks, a steal. I know, the blocks and steals are kind of a little bit of outliers the past 2 games. 3 steals and then 4 blocks. But that's kind of what he brings to the table, especially in this series. He's out there for about 40 minutes. He's a decent defender, and he can shoot the ball. I know he hasn't shot it well the past 2 games, and they haven't really looked for him to score. So I do think a lot of people will, hop off of Horford, and the ownership will be pretty low on him at 7,200. I talked about Marcus Smart, how I liked him. I unfortunately didn't play him, but he did great. I do expect him to be aggressive once again. If he's aggressive, obviously Jaylen Brown and Tatum are going to be aggressive, so that does mean Horford will probably be the 4th option, but I do just like taking that shot on Horford just because of the low ownership on him, and he can get you there even without scoring. Robert Williams is questionable. If he plays, you can take a shot. I'd expect, 20 to 25 minutes at most. He can obviously get you there. But if he doesn't, it doesn't really change anything. It's kind of just the normal same play as the past 2 games. Derek White, 4,600, looks like an okay option. Grant Williams, probably going to have some low ownership. Same thing with Al Horford. The past 2 games, they've been brutal. Or it's not brutal, but they haven't been performing up to their normal standards. So I do like running it back with him, even though I just hate playing him. It's just at 4,200. He has the rebounding opportunities. It just comes down if he's hitting his threes, and he has in the past 2 games. But if he can, then, he can get you into the mid-20s at 4,200. That's pretty good. Titus getting about 10 minutes. Don't think to go there. That does it for me on that side. And then on to the next game. We have Dallas versus the Suns. Luka, 11.6, looks great. I think I'm going to lock him in today. I just prefer him. He's cheaper than Giannis by 400. He also, I don't know if he has a higher ceiling. They're both pretty high. But I think he's just a little bit more consistent. Even if he's not hitting his shots, he's still going to get you there with rebounds, assists. He's been doing great at getting steals, 2, 3, 3, and 4, which is very surprising because obviously Luka struggles defensively, but he's been racking up the steals, so that's really helped out. But I just really like him in the spot against Phoenix. It's easier for him to score than it is for Giannis, even though Giannis is putting up 40 points a game. But really like Luka. Jalen Brunson, he's going to be that second-hand man. It just comes down to if he can get the peripheral stats. Because if not, then he just kind of looks like an okay secondary play at 6,600. DFS looks pretty decent. Minutes were down last game, obviously, because of the blowout. But yeah, he's probably going to play about 40 minutes. Going to have, probably 10 plus shot attempts, most of them from 3. good 3-point shooter, going to get you rebounds, some assists. So, yeah, I don't mind going him at 5,400. Kind of had some, floor games the past few games. Reggie Bullock kind of stepped up last game. 40 minutes, 19 points, 7 rebounds. So, 5,100 looks decent for him as well. Not too high ceiling guys, but at their prices, they're pretty good. Kleber going to get about 25 to 35 minutes, He's playing well. He can get you kind of close to 30 fantasy points, but 4,900, I just don't think I'd do it. There's some other center plays I'd rather get to, like Horford or Bobby Portis. Dinwiddie, 4,500. I guess you could take a dart throw on him. Really hasn't worked out. He's kind of not playing like his end of season form, so I don't think he had to go there. And that pretty much does it for me on the Dallas side. It's pretty much just Luka, and then if you want to take a shot on those two wing guys like DFS and Kleber, or DFS and Bullock. Sun side, really like Booker to step up in this Game 7. I think it's going to be a nice little duel between him and Luka to carry their teams. I do like Chris Paul a good amount. I'm sure this is going to be the day where he goes off for like 60 fantasy points and like 20 points, like 15 assists and like 10 rebounds. So I don't know if I'm going to play him. I mean, the price is great for him, but the past 4 games, he's only shot 9, 4, 8, and 7. Something happened. He's just not normal. As you can see before that, he was doing great. His floor was like 30 fantasy points, but now it's just like 20. So it's just that if you want to get risky, I'd say play Chris Paul. If you want to be a little bit safer, avoid him. But at 7,700, it's a great price for him. He obviously has a high ceiling. It's just the past 4 games he's been brutal. But this is Game 7. He probably will look to step up. So keep that in mind. Ayton, 7,100, looks okay. He's just kind of limited because he's just only out there to score and rebound. He doesn't really get many assists at all. No steals, no blocks. I just don't think he'd go there at 7,100. Bridges, 5,500. I really like Bridges today for some reason. He's going to play normally around 40 minutes. I know the minutes have kind of been down because of the blowouts, but he's a guy who can do a little bit of everything. Averaging about, close to 14 points, but then he's getting the rebounds, the assists. He can get you some steals and blocks as well. So 5,500, I'd say out of him, DFS and Bullock, he's my favorite play. He doesn't have as many looks and opportunities to shoot it, but he's just a little bit better at getting those peripherals than those other two. So really like Bridges today. Drake Crowder, I like him as well. Shots have been down the past 2 games because of the blowouts, but going to play probably close to 35 minutes. Kind of the same play as Mikal Bridges. He's going to shoot the ball a little bit more than Mikal, unless Mikal's making his threes. So, yeah, I don't mind getting to him or Bridges, or even both in the same lineup. Cam Johnson, 4,300, looks like an okay value play. Still kind of pricey. The minutes are not as consistent, and he's just a little scoring dependent. So that's what you're getting with Cam. And then Landry Shamet has kind of emerged as a value play the past 2 games. The minutes are not going to be consistent. He hasn't shot the ball well, but, he can come in and get you a few boards and assists. It just, you really hope he hits his shots, because if he doesn't, then he's going to, bust. Otherwise, Cam Payne has lost pretty much all his run. He's been brutal. Joel McGee has lost his run. He's been bad. They've been looking to Biyombo to kind of fill in at the center role. As you can see, 21 and 14. Also, those were blowout games, so he did get, probably 5+ minutes from that. They're pretty much just rolling with, they're starting 5 and then just having Johnson and Shamet come in and fill in, a few minutes for those guys. Otherwise, don't think I'd get to anyone at the bottom range for me. Right now, I really like Booker, really like Bridges. And then we'll do one more for the core. I think you really want to get, a mix of either Horford, Brown, and Holiday, or even Tatum in there. Let's see if you threw Tatum in. 3,500, so that's not a lot to leave you with. So I do prefer getting to a guy like, let's say, just Drew Holiday. Leaves you 4K left over. It's kind of hard to get, guys in there, but you can definitely make it work. So this is my core as of right now for today's game. Sorry. Mumbling, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will come out later today with an NBA prize pick video. Peace.